The Portuguese came to India with grand ambitions, but their story here is a classic tale of overreach. They started strong using their navigational skills to dominate trade routes, but arrogance, greed, and a tendency to make enemies at every turn led to their downfall. Bengal is a perfect example of how things started to unravel for them. In 1579, the Portuguese got an imperial firman that let them set up a trading center near Sitgao, a bustling trading hub in Bengal. Soon they picked a nice spot along the river bank and began to build a port there. In the end, they shifted the flow of trade away from Sitgao to this new port, which came to be known as Hooghly. But Portuguese weren't content with just trade. They took control of salt production, a vital commodity in Bengal. They established their own custom house, levying duties independent of Mughal authority. Added to this, they enforced taxes on tobacco, a lucrative trade item introduced to India in the early 17th century. However, the most heinous was the slave trade. Portuguese began abducting Hindu and Muslim children, converting them to Christianity, and selling them as slaves. This heinous practice created widespread resentment among the local population and Mughal administration. Things escalated when the Portuguese crossed a dangerous line. They abducted two slave girls belonging to Mumtaz Mahal, Shah Jahan's beloved wife. This act of defiance was not only an insult to the Mughal court but also a direct challenge to imperial authority. And Shah Jahan said, "Enough is enough." On June 24, 1632, Shah Jahan ordered the Bengal governor Qasim Khan to launch an assault on Hooghly. The Mughals brought their formidable military strength against Portuguese. The Portuguese were forced to abandon Hooghly and flee for life. The capture of Hooghly was a game changer, no doubt, signaling the beginning of the end for Portuguese dominance in India. But it wasn't the only reason they started losing their grip. A messy mix of internal screw-ups and external pressures had already set the stage for their downfall. As Alfonso de Sousa, a Portuguese governor in India, put it best, the Portuguese entered India with a sword in one hand and the crucifix in the other. Finding much gold, they laid aside the crucifix to fill their pockets, and not being able to hold them up with one hand, they were grown so heavy they dropped the sword too. Being found in this posture by those who came after, they were easily overcome. In 1580, Portugal merged with Spain, and suddenly they were neck deep in Spain's wars with England and Holland. These wars wrecked their trade routes and spread them too thin. The reality is, Portugal was a small kingdom with limited resources and manpower, and it struggled to maintain its extensive colonial empire. While they were struggling with maintaining their colonies, the resurgence of strong powers in regions like Egypt and Persia created external pressures. Meanwhile, back in India, Marathas, a formidable power, and the immediate neighbors of Portuguese became more and more hostile to Portuguese. Marathas gave constant headaches to Portuguese in every chance they get, and they even captured Salcete and Bisaine in 1739, severely undermining Portuguese control in the region. The major reason behind this regional animosity was how Portuguese were aggressive about spreading Christianity, which made both Hindus and Muslims angry. Added to this, Portuguese became known for shady trading and even piracy, which earned them a bad reputation. Local rulers, including the mighty Mughals, grew tired of their arrogance and violent ways, making alliances nearly impossible. While the Portugal dominance was being tested in India, they couldn't keep their secret sea routes to India hidden forever. The Dutch and English showed up with better ships, more resources, and sharper strategies. They quickly outpaced the Portuguese, taking control of the spice trade and their lucrative markets. Alienation with the local population led the local rulers to form alliances with the Dutch and British to challenge Portuguese dominance. And one by one, the Portuguese lost their prized possessions to their competition. It was during the time Portugal found Brazil. Portugal priorities changed. They pretty much said, "India, who?" All their attention and resources went westward, leaving their Indian empire to fend for itself. Spoiler, it didn't go well. To add insult to injury, in 1683, Marathas attacked Portugal and invaded Goa, announcing to the entire world that the glory days of Portugal was long gone. In short, the Portuguese lost India because they tried to do too much, made too many enemies, and got outplayed by smarter, stronger competition. They started with dreams of empire and ended up with a history lesson on what not to do.